And we only have 2 minutes, so. Okay, yeah, look at this. Let's see. Red and blue. So that music is on. Really? I love that. Fancy. Is it on YouTube also? Yeah. No, just randomly. Unless you want to. Yep. What's going on, everyone? Matt Bove joining you today from our new little upstairs studio here, Channel 7. And we've got blue lights, we've got red lights, we've got a Bills and Ravens game this week, so why not talk about it? Robert's already joined us from Facebook. What's going on, Robert? We're streaming right now on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. I had a little bit of time, so I figured why not come on here, answer a couple questions, talk about this Bills-Ravens matchup. I know there is no shortage of topics and things that people want to know about. Obviously, it's a very big game. It's the two MVP frontrunners with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I saw a crazy stat. I want to make sure I get this right, who it's from, but I reposted it on my Twitter account. This is from the ESPN Ravens reporter. His name is Jamison Hensley. He posted this about an hour ago. How crazy is this? The Ravens are now a 1-point favorite at the Bills for Sunday's divisional game, according to ESPN Bet. Buffalo has never been an underdog in its previous 18 home playoff games since entering the National Football League in 1970. So it started as the Bills, about a 1.5 favorite when their game against the Broncos ended. That has slowly shifted. Now the Ravens are favored by about a 1.5. Not a huge surprise, but it's pretty crazy that in all of Buffalo Bills playoff history, they have never been an underdog at home. In this game, they are. And I think that speaks to more about how good the Ravens are than it does to the Bills being not a good team or an inferior opponent or anything like that. Melinda, thanks for joining. Hello. Hope you're having a great day. Robert, what's up, Matt? Not much, Robert. We're just in here chit-chatting a little bit, getting ready for this game coming up on Sunday. And the one thing that I know a lot of people are going back to, I like a lot of you, was probably listening to WGR this morning. I was getting ready. I was cooking some breakfast for my daughter. And they were talking about how this is the second time the Bills and Ravens have played each other this year. But to not put too much stake into the first game the Bills played against the Ravens. And I wholeheartedly agree. Like John just commented here, Josh will need to play better against the Ravens, is what I'm assuming John meant to say. And yes, I agree, but I don't want to take too much stake in that game that they played earlier in the year just because their teams have changed so much. Now, I'm not suggesting that Baltimore has not gotten better since they played each other 107 days ago. That's how long it has been. That's a long time. But the Bills are a much different team. The Bills played that game against the Ravens without Terrell Bernard, Taron Johnson, and Matt Milano. Now, you could say, do linebackers and a nickel cornerback really make that much of a difference? I think they make a really big difference for the Bills. Taron Johnson's one of their best defenders. He's an all-pro. Terrell Bernard is their defensive captain. And Matt Milano, also formerly an all-pro, and he's looking like he's kind of getting back into form. So I think having those guys available will be so important to obviously stopping Lamar Jackson or containing Lamar Jackson, but also containing Derrick Henry, because that's why the Bills got blown out earlier in the season. Lamar had a good game, but Derrick Henry ran all over them. I mean, he had an 87-yard touchdown the first time he touched the ball, the Ravens' first play of offense, their first offensive play of the game. I think that he finished that day with 199 yards on the ground. I'm looking this up now just because I want to make sure I get the stats correct. Derrick Henry in that first game, 24 carries, 199 yards. He averaged 8.3 yards per carry, and he had a touchdown with an 87-yard run. Lamar Jackson in that game only had 156 yards passing. So it's not like Lamar completely took over the game. I mean, John just said Matt Milano is definitely looking better. That is a huge, huge development for the Bills, because Matt Milano changes what they do defensively because he is so rangy. He is so good in pass coverage, but can also, quickly shut down a lane and quickly hit the hole if he needs to. I think about the play against the Broncos a couple days ago where Bo Nix was rolling out to his right and Matt Milano completely set the edge and got a sack, even though he forced him out of bounds, turned into a 1-yard loss. And I think that was a really big play for them. Robert, yes, when you lose key defensive players, it doesn't help. And it wasn't just the three guys I said. Taylor Rapp, their starting safety, got hurt in that game trying to tackle Derrick Henry. And offensively, they were without Amari Cooper. They didn't have him on their team yet. And Khalil Shakir got banged up early in that game. So you were in this game, and the Bills just tried to do anything they could to stay in the game. Like, you look at their box score from that day. Keon Coleman had 4 targets. He had 3 catches for 51 yards. Shakir led the way. But, I mean, their leading receiver in that game was Khalil Shakir at 62 yards. The other thing that's noticeable about this box score, they really didn't try and run the ball. And when they did, they had a little bit of success. James Cook averaged 4.3 yards a carry, but he only had 9 carries in that game. The Bills are now more comfortable running the ball if they need to. The Ravens have a good defense, but we saw it against the Broncos. The Bills are totally fine. If, like, okay, you want to let us run on you, we're going to run on you. Matthew says, if we keep Lamar contained, we'll walk out with a win. And I think, Matthew, there is a lot of truth to that. I understand Lamar Jackson is an MVP favorite or front runner or co-favorite, whatever it is right now. They've done a decent job against Lamar historically. The Bills have. So is Sean McDermott going to come up with a good plan and say, okay, this is what we're going to do? I like their chances there's a lot of things that Sean McDermott can get criticized for, but he's a very smart defensive mind and has had some good defensive game plans against some good players over the years. Lamar will make big plays. It's not if it happens, it's a when it happens. But you've got Josh Allen. So the hope is that you just make more big plays and maybe you stop them and you contain them to 24 points, 28 points, and you score a point more than them. And you would be totally happy with the results. Water Cooler Bro, do you think the Bills trying to establish a ground game similar to the Broncos game? I think we see more of it than we saw the first time they played, but not as much as we saw against the Broncos. I feel like the Bills thought they had a clear advantage running the ball because they did not want the Broncos defensive line to be able to get after Josh Allen. You can't rush the quarterback effectively if you don't have a lot of 3rd and long situations. And the Bills were pretty adamant, we're not going to put ourselves in that position. I think they're going to be a little bit more aggressive in the passing game against this Ravens defense because they know they need to put up points. Against the Broncos, I think they felt pretty good early on that the defense was playing well and that they wanted to control the ball. They wanted to control the line of scrimmage. They wanted to eat up some clock. But I think that they will be more active in the passing game, but it'll be like a split. I still think that they're going to run the ball a lot, but it won't be as much as they did against the Broncos. Do you think they'll call anyone up to be active? My guess is they do the same people that they had in the last game, even though those guys did not end up even being available on Sunday. That was Jalen Virgil, the wide receiver, and Kareem Jackson, the safety. I would imagine they do the same thing. And then if they don't have any injuries, they'll probably keep those guys just inactive on Sunday. Keep Lamar under 30 passes. I mean, I agree, sort of. But then you have to stop Derrick Henry, right? So you got to pick your poison for the Bills. And what's that mean? Does that mean you want Lamar not being a passer and you're going to try and stop Derrick Henry, or do you sell out to stop Derrick Henry and then you just hope that you can figure out a way of containing Lamar? It's pick your poison because they're going to make plays. It's just, how many do they make and can the Bills make more? We need to slow down Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry is the biggest reason why I think this game is, a really, really tough one. I legitimately think this might be the hardest matchup for the Bills of any teams that they could potentially face. And I still very much think that they can win this game. But Baltimore does a lot that the Bills struggle with. Stopping the run has been something that has been a problem for the Bills. It has been better the last month and a half, but it is still not something that they can hang their hat on. So if they sell out to stop the run, then Lamar is going to be able to make plays. Another sidebar here is Zay Flowers, their Pro Bowl wide receiver. He missed the last game. John Harbaugh, their head coach, said we'll see if he's available for the game this upcoming Sunday. A lot will be determined when the teams hit the practice field. I'm assuming the Ravens are going to do the same thing as the Bills, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we should have some injury designations. That changes a lot. Steve, we're not worried about Lamar. We need to worry about Henry. I'd worry about both of them, to be honest, Steve. I don't think that you should be overly worried and let it ruin your week or anything like that. But Derrick Henry is really, really good. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Lamar Jackson is really, really good. He's also a first ballot Hall of Famer. They can both make plays and they complement each other so well because, hey, you see all this RPO stuff that they did. I don't know if you guys watched the game against the Steelers on Saturday night here on Channel 7, by the way. Most of you probably did. They ran all over the place, and the Steelers had no way of stopping it. I think that's more about the Steelers almost just quitting in that game than it is about how effective the Ravens are. But for a little while, I was watching that Ravens game on Saturday, and I was like, this is the best team in football. And then you watch the Bills play on Sunday, and you're like, oh, no, the Bills can hang with this team. And it's in Orchard Park, which is a huge advantage, obviously, for the Bills. Clock management is huge. I think if we have possession 30 minutes in this game, it will turn out to be the same score. You got to have the ball. That was the problem with that game they played earlier in the year. And I know I said don't pay too much attention to it, but they were playing catch up. The numbers are a little bit inflated because at the end, the the Ravens very comfortably had a win. They only ended up having about 2.5 minutes more of possession time than the Bills did in that game, but they really controlled the first half and put the Bills in a lot of bad situations. Defense needs to show up, period. It's a little too simple, but I think you could argue the team that has the better defensive day will win, because both offenses are going to make plays. I think it's about which defense ends up making the one big stop or maybe forcing the one big takeaway. And you're at home. You're at a place where you haven't lost this year. You would like to think that that is a big advantage for you, but it is hard to imagine the Ravens just getting shut down. All they need is force the Ravens to punt twice. Charity, I think twice is not enough, but I think 3 times might be pretty good. Matthew, also props to you for calling the legend of the game on the podcast. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't know who could top Kyle Williams, but it felt like Fitz was probably the only logical answer. And I know that it will definitely be, people will be excited. I'm hoping our exterior defense shows up against the Ravens. Vaughn, AJ, and Greg. John, what's so interesting about this, you're right. But the plan for the Bills might not be to try and get, of course, they want to sack Lamar Jackson. That would be stupid to say they don't. But so much of this is going to be about containing him, not letting him get out of the pocket and not letting him create a lane to get out of and scramble. You'll see the Bills really kind of rush things wide, almost surround him and then hope that their interior can close those gaps, because then that forces him to stay in the pocket and make a play. It's fairly similar to what teams try and do against the Bills with Josh Allen. They always say, don't let Josh Allen roll to the right. The minute he rolls to the right, he's going to make a play. Lamar Jackson is the same way. Obviously, it's not just the right or just the left or anything, but he can make a play when he's in the pocket. So they need to have a good day, but they need to make sure they contain Lamar and not let him break contain more than they just need to strictly be focused on sacking him. Do you think the Bills' offense can continue to be as dominant against the Ravens? No. They won't be as dominant as they were against the Broncos, against the Ravens, because even though the Broncos on paper probably have a better defense, the Ravens are ascending. But I think they can still have some success. I think the number for the Bills in this game is you got to get to 30 points offensively. If you get to 30 points offensively, you would really like to hope that your defense can hold the Ravens to 29 points at home. But even that's lofty. So I know they scored 31 against the Broncos, but it could have been way more, right? They had the ball at the ends. They've got Mitch Trubisky in. Mac Hollins takes an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for stepping over a guy. It goes from first and goal at the 2 to first and goal at the 17, and then they end up having to kick a punt or kick a field goal or whatever. So I think it's going to be different. We need to have a fast start. Steve, that is a huge point. Can we go back to Steve's comment there? That is a massive point here. This is a game where you need to get ahead. You need to try and make the Ravens one-dimensional, because if they get ahead, they will feed Derrick Henry, and then you need to figure out how to stop him and then stop the Ravens whenever they get to third down. If you get ahead, that's going to take the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands, and it's going to put it in Lamar's hands. Now, he is certainly capable of making the big plays and taking over a game, but then you can really focus on stopping Lamar instead of having to figure out how to focus on stopping Derrick Henry and Lamar. Getting out to a fast start would be huge in this game. That's what they did not do against the Ravens earlier in the year, and it cost them. The one thing I'll say, the Ravens this year have let teams back in games. When they should finish them, they sometimes let teams crawl their way back into games. We almost saw it with the Steelers on Saturday. We saw it earlier in the year with the Raiders. We saw it earlier in the year with the Patriots, I believe. Like, it has happened at times. So a fast start would be incredible for the Bills, but just something to keep in the back burner if the Bills go down a score or two. Like, it's not over just yet. Buffalo needs to score touchdowns, not field goals. Charity, that was the biggest thing that you could knock the offense for against the Broncos. They have been an incredibly efficient red zone offense this year. In this game, they were not. They settled for field goals more times than they normally do. I think they were like 1 of 5 for getting touchdowns in the red zone, and 2 of their touchdowns came outside of the red zone on the Ty Johnson touchdown and the Curtis Samuel touchdown. So yes, absolutely. If you get down into the red zone, you need to come away with 7 points, because it will probably be a track meet and you're going to need to score a lot of points. Bass will need to be good in this game. Yes, he will in the playoffs, right? It's like, if I told you right now, here's a hypothetical question. The Bills are down 2 and Tyler Bass has a field goal chance to win it. 49 yards. Would you feel confident? If he makes it, you win. If he misses it, you lose. If I gave you that option right now, would you take it? That's a fun hypothetical to think about as we're getting ready for one of these big games. Do you think the Bills have a chance of winning on Sunday? Bailey, I do. I feel good about this game. I don't think it's going to be certainly easy. I think it's a really hard game. I think it might be the hardest game they've played this season, but it's in Orchard Park. They're undefeated there this year. They're really, really a different team in Orchard Park. And I understand Lamar Jackson is amazing and Derrick Henry is amazing, but Lamar Jackson in the playoffs has not been amazing. He's getting better. His game against the Steelers last week was very good, but he's got some stinkers in there. So that's always kind of in the back of your head of, well, what if he doesn't have a great playoff game? He is on the road, so it's going to be a tougher environment than it was when he played against the Steelers the other day. So yeah, I think the Bills can win this game. I think it's going to be a really close game. I'm not going to say I think the Bills definitely win the game or I think the Ravens definitely win this game, but yeah, I think this is a game the Bills can win for sure. Need to control penalties on both sides of the ball. Robert, that's certainly a good point. I think the crowd will have a huge effect on penalties if they can be loud enough. We need a lot this game. Start praying Buffalo tone. We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, everyone, yes, he would make it. All right, Connie. So we've got one person who says no with tone, absolutely not. And then we've got one person in Connie who says yes, he would absolutely make it. So I guess it just depends on how much trust you have in Tyler Bass, really. So yeah, this was fun. We just decided to do that. We got this cool new studio up here, so we figured why not come up here. You can see kind of what this used to just be an empty office space, but we're like, hey, why not come hang out up here for a little while? So we'll probably do this again at some point this week. We've got a Leading the Charge on Thursday night at 7 o'clock on Channel 7. We'll have content, of course, on our Instagram page all week. That's at WKBW. Definitely give that a follow. Been doing a lot of Bills content there. I'll be on Twitter all week. We'll be out at practice later, and we'll go from there. But thanks for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. And thanks for all the comments. We got so many great comments here. This is fantastic. So hey, if the Bills keep winning, we'll keep doing this stuff. So maybe we'll do it again in a couple days. Thanks, everyone. Talk soon.